The Rock versus Cody Rhodes was teased on SmackDown last night. We've got the backstage reaction in WWE to The Rock's return, and we have a rumored WrestleMania 41 match reportedly not booked. Stay tuned for all the wrestling news. Last night's return on SmackDown, of course, saw the return of The Rock, the final boss, the great one. Finally, he has come back to New Orleans. He was there, of course, as speculated, to announce the location of next year's WrestleMania. Last night was in New Orleans.
It's just like, Alberta, Canada, gets booed.
Imagine if it wasn't in New Orleans. So yes, WrestleMania 42 next year is going to be taking place in the Caesars Superdome. This was announced by The Rock last night. It's returning to New Orleans. This is the third time in what feels like a very short time frame that WWE is back in New Orleans for WrestleMania. And that's not a bad thing. It's a great city for WrestleMania.
Well, this is it. I like everybody I know who's been to New Orleans. Like, I got really lucky. I was able to go to Dallas, Texas.
Yep.
Would never thought I'd ever get to go to Texas. It was amazing. I've been to Orlando for it, but everybody I know who's been to Louisiana is just like, man, you've not experienced anything until you've been to New Orleans. So I get why they want to kind of focus on those big markets.
Yeah, right. And
like
you've got
destination where you can kind of justify spending like $1,000 for a ticket because you're also going on holiday.
That's it. It's having all of the extracurricular activities that are around WrestleMania week. I think we were talking about it last week when we mentioned Elijah.
Yeah.
And the fact that when he was Elias in WWE, he just did a gig on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, he did like an open mic night, didn't he?
Right, and you had like people just at bars, just hanging out on Bourbon Street. I had mates that went that loved it, and it's like if if WrestleMania is in New Orleans, we have to go back. So it's going to be an expensive year for them. But Cody Rhodes also came face to face with The Rock last night. Of course, The Rock coming out, doing this big announcement, calling Cody Rhodes out. He came face to face with him, and Cody Rhodes had asked. Well, he was sort of. He looked a bit confused at times himself, and I was getting flashbacks to last year.
There is a great photo of him on the gallery from last night's SmackDown on WWE photo section of the website, and you just see Cody sort of staring off into the middle distance like, huh? Like, just sort of like, what's going on?
Yeah, and I felt like that was maybe the crowd's interpretation as well for a little bit, because The Rock asked Cody Rhodes, if he wanted to be The Rock's champion rather than just the WWE champion. He asked him if he wanted a shot at it, or Cody asked The Rock if he wanted a shot at his title, with The Rock then declaring, no, he doesn't want the championship, he wants Cody's soul. How do you interpret that? What does that mean? It was a little bit creepy the way he held and cradled his face and was like, I want your soul, Cody.
It's two ways for me. Either this means that Cody, if he loses, will end up in The Rock's servitude and will be kind of broken down into this miserable mechanical...
Kind of like the Gabe Kidd, Prince Amin dynamic.
Whenever The Rock needs to wrestle somebody, they've got to go through Cody first. He's going to absorb a lot of it. Or, more entertainingly, they're like, Undertaker's retired. Rock is an actor. He can gain and lose weight as he needs. Every 3 weeks, he turns up having put on 400 pounds, dresses up like Paul Bearer, and there's like a polka dot urn, and Cody shoots laser beams out of his fingers because he's got to be a little bit different to Undertaker, and they dye his hair black because now he's a bad guy.
Oh yes, Cody Rhodes. That's the whole thing,
yeah.
and has the voice as well.
Yeah,
I think that could work. So yeah, it was a little bit confusing. He wants Cody's soul, but he did say that he's got until Elimination Chamber for Cody to decide if he's going to be the WWE champion or The Rock's champion. Cody was maintaining that he is actually the people's champion. I'm guessing it's the first one you said. Maybe the second one, but I'm going to guess The Rock kind of wants to control him and be the corporate Rock.
I feel like when The Rock came in with the People's Championship, it felt very much like, this is like a gift, but then it's been turned into this sort of ultimate prize.
Yeah.
And I think eventually, at some point, somebody has to beat The Rock for the People's Championship, and then they become the People's Champion, and that becomes like another belt.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, do we need another belt? And also, I just sort of, I wanted to see Punk Cena, Cody.
That's
exactly what I wanted.
It, right?
I wanted that match. Why have we got this one now? And I don't hate The Rock, like, it was my entire childhood, but like, come on, dude, you can't just turn up and change things.
Well, he did speak on the press conference after SmackDown, a very rare post-SmackDown press conference. He immediately broke character as Dwayne Johnson, as the member of TKO board. Yeah, it was very much, he just was like, I'm separate. I'm separate to the final
Lists
boss.
11 names of people you never heard, and they're all going, he said my name.
He said his name.
Just cashing checks, blank checks.
Well, he broke character and discussed the potential for a match with Cody Rhodes, saying, I'm dropping the announcement of WrestleMania, then bringing Cody Rhodes out and offer him this big ideology of, you're our champion and you're amazing, but I want so much more of you. And at the end, the final boss says, I want your soul. I think what that does in this wild, crazy world of professional wrestling is that, to me, it just becomes something that's unpredictable. In the world of pro wrestling, everything will culminate to a match. Whatever happens, it will end in the ring. However...
He then continued, the final boss in Cody Rhodes, it's not about the WWE title. It isn't about a match. It's not about punching or kicking or bleeding or any of that. This is so part of our world, but it's never had to culminate to a match. That's a really special place to be, I think, creatively. And when you think character-wise and how much fun you can have. Now...
He's kind of just said that there's no guarantee we're getting this match directly after on SmackDown, teasing the match.
I would like to think that this is going to be another situation where we have the...
Yep.
And then Rock goes away for another 3 weeks to shoot a film. Triple H then turns the boat back to the original course. And then the crowd goes like, yeah! And then Rock comes back and goes, oh, well, I'm going to actually book a Royal Rumble for all of Mania and I'm winning.
I'm winning. The entire show is a Rock match.
And then he goes away for another 3 weeks and Triple H gets it back on course.
Yeah.
Is he the new Vince just coming in and going like, no, screw this?
It is giving that impression of like plans have been set and then he decides, actually, you know what? I really do. I kind of like my plans better. Like,
you can't say no to me. I'm a member of the board.
It's like he's going to Triple H. That's a really neat idea, buddy. I'll put it on the fridge.
Yeah,
I like that.
Right on the fridge.
Right in the fridge there. It's very confusing. Yeah, it just slips off the fridge immediately. It feels very, very strange to have on SmackDown him teasing this match with Cody and being like, I want your soul. You've got until this time to decide. And then immediately after being like, I mean, the words there, this is so part of our world, but it never has to culminate in a match.
I just don't know, because part of me is like, they wouldn't do this without having some sort of formula or plan in place. But then you think back to last Mania.
You
think back to the entire situation around that. And how that had to be like pivoted and mega shifted, and
they had a good documentary of it.
Reveal the curtain, like behind the curtain on all of it, and even then it was kayfabe. It was all kayfabe. But it's sort of now I'm just sort of feeling like, oh no, we've got kind of conflicting creative now. This is a very odd place to be.
It feels so strange.
Give him his own containment show. Give him Raw.
Yeah, get him on an NXT. The final boss on NXT.
The CM Punk. Just give him Raw.
The Rock running Evolve. That's what we need. We've got some backstage details though about The Rock's return and kind of what it means going forward. This comes from Fightful Select. WWE Creative was reportedly told in the last few days that The Rock would be returning on this week's SmackDown. However, it came as a shock to many within the company, the report notes. It is currently unknown how this will impact the WrestleMania plans. Obviously, the long-term plan is John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. This has been reported for some time, all the way back to October. That was kind of what we were expecting. I mean, we've got the Chamber coming up, and it seems pretty set that
unless
Cena's
Rock
winning.
Turns up and wins.
I mean, it's not out the realm of possibility that could happen at this point. So, what does it mean for the rest of the Mania card if The Rock's on it and facing Cody Rhodes? Where does Cena go? How does it impact the triple threat that's been reported?
If it does one thing though, and this speculation keeps going backwards and forwards and the confusion keeps mounting, everybody's just going to have to watch Mania to find out. And in a certain way, it works in their favour.
Yeah, it's increasing the hype a little bit, isn't it? The Rock's back. People are going, what on earth is going on?
He's being a diva again.
Yeah, well, Fightful spoke to some people backstage, and it claimed that they claimed that this came together very, very late in the times. That even so many people backstage aren't aware of what the future plans are for The Rock and where this creative is going. But if there's any further news on The Rock, we will, of course, keep you updated as we hit onto the road to WrestleMania.
We should have said, if we smell any further news of The Rock.
Damn it, right. If we smell any news of what The Rock is cooking on the road to WrestleMania, That was seamless. We do have some news from the AEW front, though. We have the real reason as to why Double or Nothing has been moved. Also, it's usually in Las Vegas, so why has it been moved?
So, according to the Observer, the Wrestling Observer newsletter, AEW moved Double or Nothing to Glendale, Arizona this year as the date was seen as being too soon after WrestleMania if it was held in the usual Las Vegas location. Now, what it doesn't touch on there... is that wasn't there a whole furore about people can't run venues? That's always been something WWF and WWE would do, where, especially places at Madison Square Garden, that's our house. In 93 or 94, they try to run Flair Hogan at Madison Square Garden, and they instead put the house show on where Diesel beats Bob Backlund. But I think that there was a lot of news came out about the fact that if you have WWE for a major event, Nothing can run like 9 weeks or like however many months either side of it.
I think they can't announce the location, so they can't announce the venue until WWE has run the show, if it was a WWE show booked in there, and vice versa for an AEW one.
I think that's probably playing into it, but at the same time, just run different cities. I'm getting sick. I know that it's part of AEW's remit that they run regular cities, and it's a different approach. But I think you can't really grow as a touring brand if you're not just moving from city to city. Like, why shouldn't people in a different state get to experience that, to experience it? And I think that's something that hopefully they'll get with Glendale, even if it still is in Arizona. They'll hopefully draw in different people who maybe wouldn't have commuted to Vegas for the event. Yeah, I mean,
it's literally just a state over, so you've got people that can go to both cities. You've got enough travel links there. And the Glendale crowd, when we've seen them at an AEW show, is hot. They are loud for the content that they're being given, the product, which always helps for a pay-per-view after 5 years of doing Las Vegas. It's nice to see a change, but I think you're right. It does maybe have some come into play
get it on the road, man.
Get it on the road, tour some new cities, which they're doing. Yeah. But also, when you've got WrestleMania just in that back door, you don't want to have too much. Yeah. And you get your own brand diluted. So it's a very smart play from them. But finally, we're going to round things off with a rumoured match that has been speculated for some time. There's been reports about that was seemingly set for WrestleMania that seems to be no longer set for WrestleMania or not currently on the cards. This, of course, we're talking about AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. This was reported recently by numerous outlets that this was on the cards and talked about. But according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, as of right now, the match is not booked for the show. Is it a match you want to see?
Yeah, it's a match I want to see, but I think that they could do it either in the run-up to Mania, or we could be looking at potentially building something a bit bigger down the line. I feel it's a story you can really, really get a lot out of. So we've only got like a couple of months. So if they really want to do something a bit longer form, then maybe SummerSlam would be a good landing spot for it.
I mean, I feel like the two of them together is very natural.
After a potential match that we'll be talking about in the next video.
Ooh, perhaps. There's a little tease, because that will be coming up in the next video later on today when we have some more wrestling news. We'll be back later on, so don't go anywhere. See you later.